Hello everyone, welcome back to Game Cave Development. Bear with me as I move some files around here. I'm just checking to see if I have something on another screen here, but I guess I don't. I was gonna make some examples, but I don't think I have those set up really quickly. So I should check this before I hit start, right? There's one other place where I might have this stuff. Give me 1 second, folks. Here, I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm just checking through GameFan. All right, so regarding Game Cave, now the real fun begins. I want to show you all a process that I developed when I made this magazine here, and I will show it to you. This is Game Fan magazine version 2010. I did from 2010 till 2012, more or less. So I did all the graphic design you see here. In Photoshop, ran those Photoshop files through InDesign. This is what all the text is through InDesign. Game Fan was a game magazine in the early 90s. I will show you what it looked like. This is what it looked like. It was really high energy, tons of screens and color and characters, just tossed about. The text just thrown over, bitmapped images, no rhyme or reason to it. But this is a lot of people have, they grew up with comic books, and I grew up like video game magazines were my comic books. They were, especially like things like Nintendo Power and Game Fan really stood out to me because they blended artwork, right? Artwork with these layouts of all my games, and I didn't have access to comic books as a kid. I had access to video games, so I was able to read this stuff. And Game Fan, more than Nintendo Power, even was written very personally. It was almost like reading. Uh, it wasn't very technical. It was very lively. It was very comedic in its tone, playful. The term I think they use now is enthusiast. I can show you old Nintendo Power stuff. Where is it? Nintendo Power. So these are Nintendo Power scans that I've grabbed here. TMNT arcade game. You can see, this predates Game Fan. Older game magazines during the Nintendo Power years are really more like strategy guides. They were built like, here you see these little game maps going everywhere, right? Cutscenes and like tips and tricks based on how to actually beat the game, more or less. So it's very strategy guide driven. You can see here, like, what is this? Ninja Gaiden. So it's one of those kind of, yeah, it's a side scroller. So, oh, Quantum Fighter, sorry. Look at all the Ninja Gaiden, but I'm like, I don't recognize that. Quantum Fighter. And then when Game Fan hit, it kind of is less strategy guide, more buyer's guide mentality. Probably because Dave Halverson, the guy who ran Game Fan, originally owned a mail order company. So I sort of imagine that, they captured the essence of the game rather than strategy guides. I think at the time too, they started selling strategy guides, so this was easier to do. You take snaps, you play the game, you do the reviews, and over time that's become, even simpler than this. If you look at like Next Generation or Edge magazine and stuff like that, it's now just a big screen and some text, which I hate. I absolutely hate. So. Moving forward, when I got to do Game Fan, or I was brought on as the art director for that, I took it as a challenge to try to translate that feel of old Game Fan with some of the sleekness of modern day stuff, but still utilizing the color. See all these color gradients, tying it into the design of the backgrounds, having multiple screens, but keeping them kind of orderly. Using the film strips and stuff as color, textures, walls, and stuff. And you could see, like here for Alice, this was me taking their concept art and mixing it with splatters and throwing it up and recolorizing it and trying to even make the pull quotes tie into the look of the whole piece. So where does that take me now? Where does that put me today? Now I'm working on Game Cave. And Game Cave, originally I was going to pitch it. This is not final. Let me maybe take you to a more complete version of a layout. Oh, that's really awesome. Dual This is one of my first test layouts I did, minus the text. The text is streamed through. Let's see if I can get an actual JPEG of that, an actual render. Game Cave, PSD, Webby. Is there a Webby? It would be here. Test Webby, if I remember right. And then we can hit preview. So this is what it would look like with text sort of thrown in. So Game Cave, when I first pitched it, was going to just be a straight modern day retro magazine, retro, and then like indie stuff. And I was just going to have imaginary editors writing it. I'd just create some characters, they'd review the games, and it would be kind of fun to do. But as with all projects, things sort of change. There were some delays, and in the back of my head, I'd always wanted my own universe to tell stories and original content. And so I thought, well, it'd be really nice to mix a novel with a game magazine, because the problem I have with game magazines is the internet. The internet has made the buyer's guide mentality become irrelevant. The people still buying video game magazines are fans of it, and there are some pretty cool ones being made, like Nintendo Force and Retro. I've had a chance to work with some of them, and I think Dave just released a new sort of game fan. But the inherent problem I still have with that is that, you know, other than just catering to that hardcore market, there really isn't much being done with it. So the next step I wanted to take a video game magazine was to mix it with a novel. And so what you have is something like this. And then let's see if I can, where are my, you'd think I'd have this more put together. Oh, they're in the novella section. I'm still reorganizing these folders because the creation of this content has gone pretty wild. Okay. I probably threw it on the desktop. Okay, here it is. This is what happens when I'm making updates late at night. So this is rough. This isn't final art. Oh, but you get this, right? So like this would be the story section, and then you have this little tab here to keep you, where you're at, story, and then best of Game Cave. So you get to a section, you'd read some story, you'd have items, and this will be filled with also extra info about locations and characters, and Katya like whipping up stuff. And then you would get to these game magazine sections. Here's an early example. I say early because some of this is going to change. The kicker is that the game magazine sections aren't just random, reviews thrown in. They're excerpts from Game Cave as it was released. So right now in the story, Game Cave has been around since let's say the 80s. I'm gonna speak in our time versus theirs. And so for 30 years in this world, there have been Game Cave magazine. So these are excerpts from their magazine throughout the years. And what I've done is I've broken it into 4 sections. This is like my first version, so it's way too long. But I've broken it into 4 sections that will chronicle the look of game magazines as well. So the first section will feature a few games. Let me get this. It'll feature TMNT 2. Each one will feature an intro explaining the era that it was produced in. Then it will also be TMNT 2, Street Fighter 2, the arcade, so NES game, the arcade game Street Fighter 2, a Game Boy game, I think it's going to be Battletoads. And then I'll have this thing called the Wizard's Keep, which is a play off Nintendo Power's confidential information section. So that'll be like a Nintendo Power kind of style. It'll still be like my interpretation of it, but it'll be like a Nintendo Power strategy guide style. And you'll go back to the story, you'll read it, then you'll get to the game fan version of video game magazines, which are like this, like all these screens and tons of characters and stuff like that thrown about. And then you'll have more story, and then you'll get to the Play magazine style. The Play magazine was a magazine. It's like the modern style, which is like a big graphic or two. You know, for the lack of a better example, I would say it's not really. I could show you guys if I don't actually have the ref, which I don't here, but we can get it really quickly. So let's just go to the internets and then play magazine scans. Let me go look at Play Magazine. Let's see, that doesn't look like it has much. But yeah, this sort of modern, when I say modern, I guess it is modern, but Play Magazine. So you can get the covers. Where are the interiors? I have my magazines here, so I would just use the physical copies as reference. But like this is an actual scan from Play Magazine where they use like nothing, right? Like it's just a couple. Where's this Castlevania Neo Romance? So I don't know what the site is, but yeah, this would be an example of those kinds of layouts. Uh, Sleek, modern, minimalist in a way, right? Ton of Power Play Magazine. So December 2000. Actually, this is when I was working at Play. December 2009. I was actually on staff here, right? So yeah, like it'll look something like this. And then you'll get to the fourth section, which would be modern game cave. And I have some plans for that. What it really is it's kind of like this style, but the content will be showing a modern game, and then in the middle of that review, showing how where the game's mechanics were pulled from. So in this issue, it'll be Skullgirls Encore, and then Rad will then pull back to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and show you the play mechanics that where it came from, and then wrap back up and how they were incorporated. So I call it Neo Retro. Crazy, right? So, it's actually not hard to execute. It's hard to come up with it. Anyhow, let's move this along. So I'm showing you this now. Let me hit Control Y. What it would actually look like. Now I'm going to work on the TMNT2. I'm incredibly out of practice with making these layouts, so bear with me. This first one's going to be rough. But we will get started. So I'm keeping these open because I got to be able to pull textures and stuff from it as I use this. But you can see here, this file is pretty intricate already. This is my nav bar. This is my guide. I'll explain to you what these mean. So this is called one-up style. What I've done is I've already started a basic template. So ignore this one-up style, but this would be like a one-up style. And this is a sketch. I've literally sketched this idea out for the layout. I haven't actually made it yet. I haven't made the template. I can give you an example of what those templates look like. So if we come to PSD, novella, no, PSD templates, Game Cave template, right? So this should be in the test webby. So this would be an example of a basic template. This was a format I came up with for doing one-page game reviews, wherein you can have a nice logo, some text, nice little maybe drawing of the game system. All the system info would be here, and then you'd have 4 basic things about a game, right, about the game in question, and then each editor would talk. So quips, the deck. That's what Dave used to call these bylines. Deck. It's like say this was like cool runnings, and it's about the speed in the game. All right, would be the example. And the character would talk about, or the editor or writer would talk about, running in the game, and then a wrap up, and then a really easy version of the film strip. This would all get themed, so this would just be a basic template, and then I would create extra, textures and stuff like that. So that has since formed this basic template. I don't think you get to see. Let me see if I've actually rendered this out with text examples. It's been a few weeks since I've preview. Right. So here's what. Oh shit. This is actually the intro page format. So when you get to each section, it'll have like an example of the issue, the format. Rad will talk about his thoughts on that era, the timeline, like where this magazine, the format existed between the years, and then their scoring system, because every magazine at the time used to score things differently. So I have already worked out how each format and then was scored, and then info about the different writers at the time. Like in this case, would be Game Wizard, Kid Combo, and then Freelancer Monster, and a couple locations. Taken right out of Rad's journal. But you can see how each one is color coded. So you can see magazine history, issues 01 through 019. I have every issue mapped out throughout 30 years too. So, and then this one would be issue 20 to whatever, so forth. And they're all color coded by red, blue, green, and gold. Yay, that. It's fun, right? So this is something that no one ever streams when they're making. I don't think anyone's ever shown them making a video game magazine before. I don't know why. Maybe because it's boring. It can get a little tedious. But yay, Rob. So I always wanted to stream this shit anyway, back in the day. But luckily, I didn't really have a rig that could handle streaming, so whatever. Now, here's my basic layers on this. I have some effects layers, which I don't think I'm using. I can't. We'll have to see. The navbars, the guides. Let me show you what this is. So I run this through InDesign, which I probably should open. So let me go here and open up dev thumbnail. I wonder if I've even... This last 2 weeks at work, I've kicked my ass. I won't lie. InDesign 2015. Okay, here we go. I've been living at work the last 2 weeks. It's unusual. Doesn't actually happen often, but it's really interfered with my Game Cave production. So now we're going to open up InDesign and I'll show you how this stuff is linked. Okay, it opens up on the other screen, so I'll drag it over here. I work off 2 screens, by the way. So I keep InDesign up open on the second screen, but in this case I will have to show you. So this is InDesign. It looks pixelated because it's at low res display right now. So I need to, in InDesign you can set display performance. We'll set it to high. So we can see. And in InDesign you can see here all the text is plugged in. It's editable. Here are the links, the PSD links. So each link, each PSD that I have open in Photoshop, minimize that, right here, is linked here. So as I work, this will update. So I don't use a lot of this other stuff. I do have some paragraph styles set up for flowing text. And then I use these links. So I try to keep my InDesign usage to a minimal thing. And also, here's the pages. If you click pages, you can see your layouts. I only keep the pages that I'm using for a game in one document. You don't want to make a document that has 100 pages. You'll crash InDesign pretty quickly. So, especially with them all displaying at high display, InDesign really isn't intended for that. So I create each one by a game, its game, and then as I would export the pages for printing, I export them into the page order they need to be in. So let me zoom in really quick. You can see here. So this will be Game Cave magazine, issue 100. All these excerpts are from issue 100 from Game Cave, which is this issue Rad. Rad Masters is the guy who created Game Cave in the book, and he's been making this monstrous 100th issue for like 2 years, and so it's just he keeps adding to it. It's an experience I had once, so I've sort of put this in here. Best of Game Cave. And then TMNT 2 arcade game. This is from issue 11, their winter issue. They produce 4 issues a year: spring, winter, summer, fall. And then 520 MA, that's their year cycle. In Game Cave, in their world, which is Prima, their planet, they run off a 10,000 year calendar, and it counts down. So right now, the story takes place in year 496, I believe, 496 MA, which is their age they're in. And then this is from 520 MA. And you can see the release is when the actual game was released. What system it's for, ignore PS3, Xbox, that's just old information developer. And then sure, we'll go there. And one of the reasons why I put everything on a sidebar like that was when I was making Game Fan, it used to be a real fucking chore to figure out where to put that info. And so I started looking at retro magazines, and they would put it all in a box somewhere. And for some reason, that all went away. And I don't know. I like this. It's all right there, and it doesn't interfere with reading the magazine. So let's take that and just minimize it and come back here. So what do we do with this? Like, why did I even sketch this out? So I sketched this out because, one, I don't have a Nintendo Power style layout yet. And so I have a sketchbook, and so I started thinking, okay, looking at Nintendo Power style layouts, we can go ahead and go back to our previews window. We can kind of open one up. Let's see, where's Nintendo Power? Here's Nintendo Power, and I can even come right back. If we look at Nintendo Power covered TMNT arcade game once, right here. And so these are all mixed up. You can see they had the bricks, which is from the cover art, right? Kind of breaking through. And then here's their system info. Because at the time they were showing memory per cart. I don't know. It's useless data now. And then their preview, their ratings, which is crazy, right? Because now the ratings here are in the front of the magazine as opposed to the end. So, and then you can see, look at this. Look, there's a difference between the arcade and the NES. Look, you can see that, right? Like, look, we'll zoom way the fuck in. Like, I can see color-wise it's better, but you would think like it would be like really big, right? So, and then all the whatever. And then they go through characters and some moves, and then ignore this. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and delete that. You can see here game map, right? So I like that basic idea of creating a logo, and then what I'm going to have is I like to have 2 editors per every game review. So you have 2 points of view. In this case, you have Kid Combo. At the time in Game Cave, there was 3 main editors. There's Rad Masters, Bacon, Bacon Xavier, Bacon X, and then Kid Combo, which is their spunky Nestor. Nestor was the trademark character for Nintendo Power, so she was like their Nestor at the time. And Bacon is a cosbro. In Game Cave world, all of the major cosplay players are dudes instead of chicks. They're called cosbros mostly because all the costumes they buy are from a store called Cosbros. So Bacon in this case is Baconardo. So he's like reviewing a game in character as Baconardo, you know? And I thought it'd be cool to take the text balloons and actually have them become like, you know, word balloons with squarish, but we'll actually just add, you know, dialogue tails. So each one would be like, oh, no, arcade game. And then I wanted to start off the difference between the arcade and the NES. So I'll draw a little arcade cabinet, the actual TMNT2 arcade cabinet, and then I'll draw a little picture of the NES with the cart on there, which I think is great, because it's good to have, you know, what the system was on. And then a nice big arcade screen with the little text dialogue, and then a big NES screen with the text dialogue. And then here, the film strip will actually be like with the little film strip border, instead of a screenshot border, which you can see on the Nintendo Power. They actually did here. It's tiny. It'll be much bigger. But if we go over to this, you can see how like it did the modern version of this, right? You can see here screenshot borders, Game Fan style. So we'll do that. And then for page 3 and 4, window, there's 4 pages. We'll have a nice example of a map from scenario 1, text box info, boss info, and then map 2, so forth, so forth. And then this is a layout that I particularly like Looks like shit here, but I'll show you what it's from. If you go to Nintendo Power, back in the day, it was from, I think it was from Pocket Power. Pocket Power, yeah, it's this. Pocket Power had this preview. No, this is from Nintendo Power. Nintendo Power had this preview of Mario Bros. 3. And what I really liked is on this one page, they had this little, you could see the map, the overworld map. World 4, Land of Giants. World 5, Cloud Castle. World 6, Winter Wonderland. World 7, Tube City. I really thought this was a cool way to preview the whole game. So there are just certain layouts I grew up loving when I was a kid. I never realized how much I liked video game magazines until I started making one back at Game Fan. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to photograph with Polaroid, or I would cut out maps from Nintendo Power and start to rearrange my own maps. Like I would actually take photos of games, which wouldn't come out so well. So sometimes I'd have to draw them too. But I'd draw my own maps, and then I'd make my own little strategy guides, but I put them in photo album papers. So I don't have any of those examples anymore because I don't know, they disappeared. So I do save layouts that I like from that era. I own a grip of magazines, man. So I scan a lot of shit in. Plus, you can find these, I think, on torrents and stuff if you know where to look. So there's just certain layouts that I want to sort of encapsulate and put here. So, and then this is I don't know how big I'm going to make this, but this is artwork that I've produced for the Kickstarter. So the first thing I got to do is actually make a template um, for this. So this is going to be a little tricky. I think one of the things I could do here is let me take this, duplicate it, merge it, turn this off, duplicate, fill in a layer, oh, and turn, let me grab my, where's my pen tablet? Turn the opacity down. Start to create, what I need to do is create some order here and make the template. So I won't lie, folks, making Game Fan, well, let's just say it wasn't fun. So we got to change that, right? I like my screenshots I used on the Street Fighter. So I can start to borrow things I've already made. See how big that came out to be. Yeah, that's not going to work right there. Let me delete that. Let's open up my original templates. In my headphone, I have a little one of those Bluetooth headsets. I keep the music from the Born Identity playing whenever I make game magazine layouts. So these are previous templates I came up with. Okay. I'll move this over to another screen. And let's take this. Kate. That'll actually work for sizing. I think you got to remember is that you got to keep it in this guide. This is let me zoom in so you can see this. This is the guide to InDesign. InDesign has these like frames. So all your safe elements you definitely want to be in the layout that won't get cropped when it prints needs to stay within this blue line here. Anything between this and the red line, let me use the pointer, between, let me move that. And see this little thing here? Anything between this and that red line may or may not be trimmed, depending on how it gets cut. Magazines, no, nothing ever gets cut perfectly. Anything out here will be gone. So it'll probably get trimmed usually like right around here, you know? You're gonna lose a little bit, fluctuates. So, go back and open And then we'll come into box 1. Text box, screen 1. So let's size that up proportionally. I'm just going to merge that and work flatly. When I'm designing, I like to just work with flattened images, and then I can sort of recreate the text boxes as I need to. A lot of this is just duplicate, Control J, like set it up, Control J, set it up, Control J. And then holding the Shift key down while you move things to keep things even. So, and we have more room here to play with than I had intentionally. So we can make this a little bit more square, which I like. And then we can cut. So those squares are designed for the text, sizing of the text I already have. And I can drag, if you're I'm in the other document right now. If you want to drag something from another document and keep it in place, just hold the Shift key down. And then if I hit V, Shift key, and I drag into here, see that square ended up right where it was on the last layout. So let's move that there. If I want to move that, I want the text right about there, which means that can be stretched a bit more. Go ahead and delete that. Control J, duplicate, and then bring that down. And arrow key that a little bit of space. I can take this, duplicate that, move that straight down. Easier to move it down and then duplicate it over to keep it lined up. Control J, move to the right. Pretty good. Control E. So for now, we'll keep that right there. Now I'm going to have these move boxes, which I've never done before. So let me wait. Let's try to build a film strip. So let me grab my film strip bar from my other document. Sidebar. See, I shift and dragged over and it stayed where it was on the previous one. Let me hit Control Y. See a big difference? The reason why I went dark is because Control Y is using the CMYK settings. This is why a lot of concept art looks really pretty on the internet but doesn't print very well. So we'll take that, T, rotate to the right. Oh, I don't want to do that. Check continuous, duplicate. I don't want to change the size of the screens because those are pretty small already. So that won't change much. And the reason why these are green and pink is so I can select these individually when I go to paste in those screenshots. Just go ahead and hide that. Now I want to keep the spacing even. Easiest way to do that is just create a new layer. Select. And then we'll fill that with black. Take this, move that. So I'm just using that black as like a guide. Merge it down, duplicate it. Let's move this over to this right here. We'll move that over. Take this, move it right here. Duplicate. How long does it take to make a page? You're wondering. Or not. I'll let you know once everything's worked out, the templates are kind of figured out, and I have my assets, all my scenes that I want to pull from and stuff. It takes about an hour a page. do the complex stuff. Longer if I have art to do. Could take up to 2 hours a page. So you're looking at anywhere between 4 to 8 hours for a spread. Now, that's why it doesn't work on a monthly schedule. If you're making an actual video game magazine where you're like, oh, I'll do 12 issues a year, because do the math. If it's a 100-page magazine and it takes 8 hours to do 2 pages, that's 8 times, it'd take 400 hours. It'd take 10 weeks to make one issue. So there you go. You can see, it's over 2 months or 4 issues a year. That's not even. So let's just take this and drag that. Fill that with black. Space should be. I think that should be enough space. Just looking at that tail edge there. And we'll duplicate that down. It's about even, or even-ish enough. Fill that with black. This is going to be important because I'll be reutilizing this for layouts. Cool part is once you make the layout, you get to reuse it over and over. So most of my layouts are already made, but the Nintendo Power ones I never bothered with. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think those need to be rounded boxes. So let's go to our shape tool, rounded edge. 4. No, 8. 4. And we'll duplicate that, move that down. And let me just look at an example of a piece of film. So I can look back at that Nintendo Power example, right? So yeah, it's a little. Duplicate and move that up. Merge down, duplicate. I need an even amount of space in here. So I will create a new template that is a different color just so I can see it. Yellow, we'll fill it in. Inverse that, make it blue, because it's a little hard to see. All I'm just going to do is just line it up to the edges of that blue thing. A real film strip, just not all wonky. There you go. Merge down and duplicate, so now we can merge down. Take this. The process of merging, duplicating, moving things around has saved my career. Like, you don't have any idea. Like, I create T-shirts for a living, so like the T-shirts that you buy from the stores like Walmart and stuff like that. For the movies, name a movie, I've worked on it. And this sort of stuff, although not intrinsically artistic, is what's paid the bills consistently. So you'd be surprised how many people don't even know how like Control J is duplicate. See how much faster that is, right? So drag and move this over. And then we can just offset it a little bit. It's not perfectly. I can just stretch it a little bit. Let me take that, select, modify, contract by 2, select inverse, Control X, and cut down just to trim it a little bit. You see, we just made them all smaller. We'll label that. If these, you gotta start labeling this stuff. Name that perf holes, film screens, film strip. We'll group that. And we can put that right there. And the reason why I did that first is I know I don't want to change the size of those screens. So now I can see, these things are negotiable. This other stuff. This NES screen. Let me go back here and grab this screen box. I had to close down my mind. Yeah, Born Identity. It's my fucking movie, man. That's what I feel like. I'm making game magazines. I would try for this. Yeah, that's right. Dreamways. All right. Then it fell apart. That's what it's like. I need the bars. Box 01. Oh, I had the wrong ones. That's not actually the screen box I need. I need to check this. Okay. Only reason why I like CS6, which I'm not using, is that you can hit Control J and duplicate, box groups, which is nice. So we'll get that right there. And then this will take off, and this will take off, that and that. Delete it, send this, delete, and then we will, because these right here are set up for the text. We can't mess with sizing of those. Once you start stretching things around, I want that underneath there, and then, but I can mix right here with the length of it. So okay, and then we'll duplicate that, move it down to this box, and place that right there. So you can start to see it's already got some order here. Let me open up my other template. 2-page style, backside. And you can see this is the exact template I made for the Street Fighter layout. As soon as we open here. All right. So if I show you, okay. So this, right? This layout here becomes this, see? Real nice. So it's plug and play to an extent, to get you a good start. Bars, screen boxes, epic and fail, tab. Make it slightly taller. And we'll drag that out to about, well, drag that out about there. And then go into the gutter, so come off the page. Call this character boxes. I like all my stuff here to be in caps. And I like to put it in the order in which it's going to be in the file. What next? Those text boxes need to be put in. I think for that, I have that one page template, which already worked out some text boxes. I don't want to use those since they're kind of already done. So go to open one page style here. And then, oh, is it in the merge? I didn't drop that in. So, 8. And that's why these are like lime colored coded, so they can be flattened. And what's good, the reason why I'm keeping this the same is because when I go to do the other layouts, they all sort of match. Even if I change the artistic look of them, the font sizing and the word counts would be the same. My sketches were about right. These pieces of art will come down in scale a little bit, but that's okay. There we go. And then let's go ahead and duplicate that. And move boxes, which are screens. It's going to be tricky. Oh, scheiße. Kate. Go down. It could run over the film strip. Possible. Could do that. Stroke 6. Edit. Stroke 1. In increments of 6, 12. How would that? Grab an actual game screen. We can figure out how much space that actually is. One of the things I have to do is get all my own assets. And the way I grab game screens there's a lot of different ways, but one of the ways I do is I add this screen capture myself when I'm playing, like here, or sometimes you can get videos and rip them. So let's just grab one of the screens. This is from the arcade. It's from the actual arcade. I have both arcade and NES screens already set up. So I want actual NES screens. So nice high-res TMNT screen. Scale it down a little bit. We can kind of see how much room would we have. Even if I zoom in on the characters, I just want it to be proportional. I have to wonder. How much? I don't know how many words that will fit in, so we'll have to leave that right there and then do a test. Let's do a test. So go ahead and save this. Oh, I need to turn the guides off before I save. That's important too, otherwise you'll have double guides. Yeah, it takes a little while to save because it has to update InDesign or register with InDesign as well, so give it a second. All right, let's turn the guide off and resave. Annoying, I know. So when you come here to the links, and you can see here this exclamation point, that means it needs to be updated. And we have updated that. So now I need to come over, let me hit W. This is a text box I have, some standard. Everything locked. I'll hold down Control Shift and drag, which duplicates in InDesign really quickly. Object, arrange, bring to front so it doesn't fucking disappear on me. There we go. And then now it's got some dummy text in there. If I come over here and scale this down, you can kind of see what that will look like. And it's not going to change the size of the text, just how many words I can put in. Probably need some kind of deck right there. How many words is that? Let's take this and copy, and I'll show you the secret little trick I like to use. Is just go to your Google Drive. Well, actually, I think my Firefox might be better for that. And I know you like Firefox, but Chrome works better. Oh, come on. Just go there. Thank you. And let's go to recent. And I have this thing called a temp. I'll make a temp file. Google drives Google Docs. Their spell check and everything is really quite good, actually, for a free program. It's better than a lot of others. So let's go tools, word count. 30 words, roughly. 32, 30 words. It just has the 30 words right there. Extrapolate that across, kind of get the idea. Now, let me Control Shift up, swatches, and select black, just so I can see the text. Let's move this up. And see how much space I'd have right here. Take that. Come here and test this. Count 70. So I need to start, I'll write this down for myself. Sometimes the best thing to do. Delete and paste. Actually, I can go another line. This is all like tentative because it changes depending on what word you use, but gives you an idea. All right, so still 70 words more or less. 70, 80 words. I'm thinking this right here. W. W hides all the guides and bars. Control, remember, Control, Shift, and drag. It's I can take this. Drag that up. I use a Cintiq, but when I'm doing graphic design, I use a mouse. I don't use the. If you use the pen tablet, you're gonna be hosed. See how I cut that line off? Just drag this down a little bit more, and we'll get that extra line. Now I like to basically give myself a little bit of room. How many is that? 100 words. Easier to know before you write. I used to try and get writers to do that. All I need 100 words for this box, and then I write 600 words. Like, just make the box bigger. I'm like, the fucking design. This goes by much easier if they just follow the process. You know? 100 words. Check that shit out. We're getting somewhere now, right? So I need this. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up my Street Fighter 2 layout in InDesign. And I can come over here and see how I just grab this. We need to ungroup that. Take that, copy it, and paste. I'm going to take the exact same text, already formatted and figured out. You need to really zoom in the placement you want. Then I need to take it, make sure it stretches out far enough. Then we can take it, Shift and Control, move over. That looks about right. This scares me a little bit. I need to take that paragraph. And I need to move it. Which one of these is it? It's the line spacing. Oh, it's in character. Character. 12 point. 10 point. That needs to be more like 10 point. probably take that, copy. It looks more relaxed to me. 10. And that actually looks pretty good right here. So what do? Well, now I'm going to move InDesign over to my other screen. And what I'm going to do is I need to know where everything is going to be sitting text-wise. So let me come back here. Select all the text boxes by shift and clicking on them. I'll Control G group them. And I'm just going to drag them into here, right into Photoshop. And it places them as a vector smart object. And then I can take these and okay, where they really sit, you know? So over here. And so that's good, that sits. Oh, man. I need my one page, style, 2-page, 1-page. And I need that deck bar. Hmm. I don't even know if that'll work. It's not a lot of room. Needs to work. So let me trim that a bit. It's a little tall. I'll come make sure that lines up. And actually, I want to take that and 100% perfect here. Or maybe it's not. Right in between. Yeah, that I like. Control E, Control J. I'll drag that over. Ah! Control E, Control J on these. Actually, I'm not going to need these little bars. Turn my effects layer off. If I hit Control, Alt, Control, right click, it will jump. And I click on some, it will jump to the layer it's supposed to be on, so I can immediately select things and delete them. Alt, Control, right click. Alt Control right click there, Alt Control right click there, and you can see it jumps to wherever. So long as it's the topmost layer. So if I have these weird effects and stuff right here, see above it, you'll select the effect because technically it's going over that. So I got to turn that off. So go ahead and where's my text? Turn that off. Hit save. Then we'll go back into InDesign. I call it massaging. Like there's a point where, see this template I'll save, and the next time I can use the same basic template for, let's say it's Ninja Gaiden versus Ninja Gaiden in the arcade, right? Or it's Street Fighter. Let's say it was what's a game that used to be on both platforms? So let's say Street Fighter on the Sega Saturn versus Street Fighter on the whatever. I can use this, or I can even use this and then change this template to be something different. Game Boy versus and I could even split it down the way. So many things you can do. So many things. Let's come back to InDesign. Scheiße. Let's take this, double click, and go to our links and update the link. Pretty fun, right? So, all right. Now, I'm in InDesign. I need to, oh, I'm not in InDesign right there. Need to, this is what I want right here. That's already figured out. I lock everything. Moved around. Actually, that's the sizing I want. Object, rotate, object, transform, rotate 90 degrees. Let's just say, call this moves. And then flush to the left. Scale that closer there. Moves. Some words that might be a little bit longer. Power ups. Make sure it's the right amount of space. And go back to Photoshop. Moves. Oh, I see. It was going to be for all three. So this should really be like jump kick. Jump kick. Power up. I have to move this down. Yeah, I need to move that a little bit. So, okay, let's come back to Photoshop. And let's come back here. This and this. V, right click, Control Shift, duplicate, put that up here, move that down. I need something that says what this section is going to be. Turn on my guides. I have a lot of room to play with here. So let's just take this right there. Give that a little bit of space. Probably help if I want to make sure the distance here is the same as up there, so it doesn't appear off. Just turn the guides back off. Let that update a little bit. Come back to InDesign, and then we will update. You can see how that's shifted, so we'll... The hell is that? Shift, select, shift, select, shift, select, and just manually move that shit down. Game screens have to be moved down a little bit. Let's come back to Photoshop. Take the game screens. Come back to InDesign. Should update. Or it's taking its sweet ass time. Yeah, it's taking its sweet ass time. There. So save that. Working out. I really think though this needs to be a little shorter. Instinct. You know, once you do like 1,000 of these pages, which I have done, you get a good feel for too much. Stuff needs room to breathe a little bit. This is off. There. Save that. I always have to set that up. Okay. So I need this from my Street Fighter document. We'll just grab that, copy it. And that should line up with the edge of the character box. Characters. Looked off. Sometimes you have to zoom in because InDesign will render things and they'll look uneven and they aren't. So we need to update. Oh shit. Take that, move that down. Control. Characters. Game. Okay, might be a better title for that. I need to bring these strips in. So select, 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 Control G, copy, come back to Photoshop, paste. Cool part is I can take this, since this is already set up, and just roughly line it up. I'll use the O thread as an indicator. Get that off. Like enough. So make sure that gameplay is lined up right. See, it isn't. All right. Side. Stroke 8 center. All right. The gameplay. Character boxes. I need to come in here and label. Deck. Stroke. Deck. Power. Stroke. And there's stroke. Screens. That has nothing to do with that. And this should go under character boxes. This should go up here. And that should go there. Screen. Screen 01. Screen 02. Well, that's nice. They're flipped. Put that there. Put that up there. Okay. I think for a basic template, that's getting it done for that page. Yeah, I know it's already in use. Sometimes you get this already in use fucking error. So I'm going to delete this stuff. Take that. Minimize that. And you can see these already set up with different bars for each section. The first section's red, so. So let's take this. We'll save as. Zero, zero. And T for the power 01. And now I need to build the template for pages 3 and 4. Okay. So I'm going to move this over to screen over here, and I can start to build this back out. So let me take this, merge it. That'll be a temp file. Alrighty. Let me look back at my Street Fighter. And I have a film strip, screen borders, bars. I'll make them double the size since work backwards here. Turn the effect off. I'll leave that on. Control J. Control A, Control J. And then we'll duplicate that across here. Duplicate. This I need to set up, fill it with white, and turn the opacity down. Otherwise, I won't be able to see what the hell it is I'm doing. That is not even by any measure. So I need to come in here and kind of figure out how much space I'm really going to have. Fill that in with black. So I take that and extrapolate that 4 times across the page. Draw that down. Those don't evenly distant. Take that, shrink that in here, shrink that in there. And I want to leave a spot for say halfway through. Not quite halfway, merge it, and scale in. Give it halfway. Yep, it's gonna be too thick. Copy, paste. That is the right amount I need. V select, change color, Control T. Let's just stretch that out. Actually, a little bit better. Crazy as that seems. That's good. And then move that down. Move that down. And move that down. And put that right there. Doesn't give me a lot of space. So I'm gonna have to modify the boxes a little bit. Sometimes it's best just to over select. Cut that out. Control, merge all that. Just recolor that pink or some shit. Hit Control Y. We'll look at. And then, I don't like how that's flush with the tab. There, so let's move that up a little bit. Come back here. Grab the tab and move that there. 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 These will adjust as the text is needed. Edit, transform, flip horizontal. That should do that. All right. Info box, boss pick. So for the boss pick, grab this screen, and that's going to go right there. Control R, and probably take that and say, flush with that, more or less, a little less. A little less. Take this, duplicate it, keep the same. Down a little bit. And then take the same text box that we used before. And widen that a bit. I need to come to my initial drawing, and let's say I got a picture of Baconardo. So Baconardo's talking. Shit, needs to be sharp. Let's just cut this out. Not final art, so you know, I don't want to hear shit about it. So let's go here and it needs to be above the text box. How about that? He is somewhere else. So that's the case. Let me cut out kid combo and apply the same. How tall will she be? Make sure there's enough room. Height Needs to be somewhere around here. Maybe it should be a little less tall. Sketch it in really quick. I wonder if 64, 24. I wonder if rounded corners would look better. Dialog boxes. Try 32. It's the radius of the rounded edge. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to come back over to my initial template. And do the same damn thing. Save that. Lest I forget. Let's take that and duplicate it. Put that right here. Let's take that, duplicate the screen. Put that right there. And hide her and put Baconardo right there. Okay. File. Oh, should I turn the guides off? Saved it. Wait a second here while that saves. The very last thing I'll do when everything's done is draw the elements I need. I made the mistake early on of trying to draw everything and then doing the layouts because drawing is more fun. But then you change the layouts, or you draw things too big. It's not good. So let me come over here, turn the guide off, and hit. Okay, come to InDesign, update, and then I'm gonna come back to Photoshop really quick, and file, save as. Rev2, we'll label that Rev3. Because it's giving me that in use error. Sometimes it happens, so I just name it Rev4, Rev5, and I just make sure that the one that's linked is always the highest rev, or short for revision. But it should be obvious. Okay. Come back to InDesign, relink to InDesign 2015. Come on. Relink. PSD 1-1. Details. Rev3. Scheiße. I left the I left the text on. That's not good. Let's take the text, turn the text off, make sure the guides are off. Come back to InDesign and update. Great. So this has been fully updated, and then zoom out. This has been updated. So now I'm going to take this, copy it, paste. Stage 1. However it works out. I have the review written. I don't remember what it is. I'll get the exact text later. So it's sort of written. I have to, a long story. This over here. And then pause. Zoom in. Make sure it's actually lined up the way I want it to. enough. Come back here. Pick that up. Copy it. Come back here. Paste. Copy it. Paste. Copy. Paste. And copy, select all, delete, paste. All right. So how many words will that give me? Paste it. That will give me 140 words. 130. Pretty good. Control Shift drag. Zoom in. Zoom back. I need to figure out those text boxes, which I have a feeling roughly that size, slightly different length. Let's just make slightly wider. That's just me eyeballing it going, well, you know, I think it should look like that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Let me take this. Group it, copy it, come back to Photoshop, paste, paste. I pasted it in the other document. Roughly where it's supposed to be. And then we'll turn that off, save it. How come she's on, but I can't see her? Explain that to me. Because I don't know, I must have moved her on accident. It happens. It's going a little slow, but not as slow as I thought it would. So let's get back here and update. And then ungroup. Take this and put that back that way. Okay. This bugs me how low that is to the ground. I might want to invert that. So let me come to screen 2. Take that, put that at the top. I don't want that to set a precedent. Let me just move that up a little bit. All right, and then I have my text example. And then let's clean this file up. Let's see, here to here, we'll group. Level strips. Screen 2. See, sometimes I do that. I invert the damn boxes. Text box, character, art, character, art, text. Okay, save that. Okay. Let's also save it as in my templates np02. And because I like to design with the text in there, I'm going to drop my dummy text for the other pieces in here as well. I don't like designing with text. Text, example, guide, and drop that in there. And it's locked. So I'll resave. All right. And then file, we'll save as here, prev01. I think we can get started here. As soon as I update InDesign, we can get started with actually trying to get these screens and stuff in here. I'm gonna go grab a snack real quick. Give me 3 minutes. All right. Okay. Let's bring this back up. That's that text I accidentally put in there. Delete that. Doesn't need to be back here. Move that there. Huh. That's weird. Alrighty. Let's go back to InDesign and copy that stuff over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Group copy. Sometimes you have to copy a bunch of times. Control C several times. Doesn't necessarily take. So what next do we do? Well, now we got to drop in stuff. Screens. First things first. I like to drop in screens, not worrying about color and all that other shit. And then we'll deal with all of the other stuff. Alrighty. Update. Update. It'd be really nice if I left the text off when I saved it. Oh, I need a deck right there. We'll see. I'll get there. It's gonna be one of those days. Turn the text off there as well. I moved that box too, so I gotta adjust that text placement. Then we'll take that, move that up. Look, now we actually have something here. We have a starting point. This is what I should open up when I want to make the layout. But that's good, you know? Sometimes it takes a little bit. One second. All right. So let's see. First things first, let's just go back into Photoshop and start dropping some screens in. I do know that this is going to be arcade versus the NES. So let's just head back to my drive, Kickstarter, Game Cave, Assets, TMNT 2, grab a good arcade screen here. I've done my homework. Preview. Get some options. Where they're in the center. That's pretty good. 164. Maybe 5. One, 8, 5. I have the whole game ripped here, so it's about like 2 gigs worth of screens. I think 185 or 164. Let me look back at 164. They're in the center, but I want some action. Gotta get a little lucky sometime. Twiddles. Say your prayers, Twiddles. I get yous. That's pretty good. Open with Photoshop. Copy. Come to screen 1. Edit. Special. Paste into. And we can fudge the proportions a little bit. Doesn't really matter. Happens all the time, whether you know it or not. And then let's go to the NES. And we'll go from the same boss fight. That's a pretty good shot. That's 033. like that. Open with. Funny. So I've got one of two options. I can crop it or add some bars. I do like that though. Because then that shows the difference. You know, you get the full widescreen shit there. You get the fucking 4:3 on the NES. Then I like to use filter, unsharp mask, once or twice. Crispy that shit up. Now this is going to be character art. The question is, do I use my own art, which I've already drawn, or do I use the in-game art? I'll go over here, select from this, and then I'll start with my own art, see how that starts to look like. Character boxes, delete, delete, crop it, delete, crop it, delete, crop it, crop it, unlink, 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 unlink. Select all the white and then 42. He's getting cropped off there. I'm not being too precise here. Just trying to get the back in where he will be placed. Maybe it's too big. those little plushies and bases. So yeah, I think that's better. So I drew these like all in Copics, so they'd have like that old school Nintendo Power feel. I'm questioning maybe I should do the same for the character art for Nintendo Power, like make everyone else digital, but make all the character arts colored in Copics. Require a little bit of effort, but all the art in Nintendo Power was hand drawn, you know. So usually airbrushed, but I don't have. I'm not doing that. These Copic markers give the same the same look, you know. That'll work. Alrighty, so now what? Now I need to come over here and make sure Michelangelo and Donatello will be lined up. Take Michelangelo, we'll scale him down and just pop him out the border. Look at that shit. I'll come over and make this all perfect a little bit later. So when I get it working. A little smaller than you should be. Make sure the height matches it. Yeah, see. It's, you should do that. Cool part is once I have this kind of shit figured out, then, you know, as I move on, you know, with future volumes, then, you know, I don't have to figure out what's that gonna go? What's that gonna look like? You know, it's just in screens and then making any art that I need. Ah, this is gonna look awesome. Save that. I'm definitely gonna need a spot for their names. All right. I think the best thing to do to measure this up would be to duplicate this, Donnie, merge it, and then kind of use him as a guide. Ref. We can turn that off. It's gonna go right there, right? Straight down this. Or silent annoying. Alrighty. Man, I knew this shit would look fucking cool. I love it when a plan comes together. Alrighty. I just knew it. Fucking badass, man. Alright. We'll make him like this no more. That's for goddamn certain. Alright. It needs tweaking, but this shit's working out. Let me turn the guides off and save it. Come back to InDesign and watch this will update. Boom. So classic. Alrighty. Some things do have to change. Ungroup. This needs to be a little less. Leonardo in caps, motherfucker. Alright. Copy, come back over. It's a little bit to massage this kind of shit, but once you get it set up, it's for it all worked out. So using my old guide to line up the last line. And turn that off. And then come down here to gameplay. Duplicate, move this up. Yeah. I'm gonna want that, I think that high. That high. Put it to the right. And we'll flush that to the right. And we'll flush that to the left. Turn that down and move it high. Names. I don't like how that's getting cut off right down there. I'll have to fix that. A little bit more space. And I think this can come up to about there. You don't need a ton of words for each character anyhow, so it doesn't really matter as much. Plus a little bit of text wrapping here. The arrow keys don't move wide enough. Wait. Donatello. Text. We're gonna move this to the right flush. I need to copy this and come back to Photoshop. Paste. If you're wondering, why don't I just do this all in InDesign? I'll tell you why, because when you get to the real high level rendering of these pages, you can't do this. You can't do that in InDesign. Well, the fucking magazines look the same. All right. And when they try to copy me, and I have seen magazines try to do it, it always looks generic. Like when I've been told, well, the average reader can't tell the difference. I'm like, well, I don't freaking make art for the average reader. I could tell the difference. When I was a kid, I could tell the difference between Game Fan and the Game Fan knockoffs. So matters to me. So one thing I have to do is extend these out. I want them flush with the text box, more or less, roughly. Usually it's easier to go over and just trim down. Over. Shit. Should have duplicated it. Stretch it will fuck it up. You have to duplicate. Alright. Then we can come to our text example. Unlock that. Merge and cut. And merge down and relock it. So that I know what the hell it is I'm looking at here. Oh yeah, before I forget. These need to be put right into here. And text boxes 30. I have 2 o'clock I can work. Okay. Yeah, just Alt Control right click and then right to where I needed to go. Go ahead and fill it down there with that color. It's better. Let's just quickly find some screens for this bottom part here. I need a jump kick. I need a power up. I need weapons. And we should definitely do one of each turtle if I can find that. But we gotta go to the screens. And let's just take something from another level. So we're not all on the same level. Mostly use Donatello, so bad to deal with. Jump kick, pretty good. Pretty good. That's a good shot. Yeah, only one. So then we will come over here, right click, intersect, and see that intersects that selection with whatever's in the layer, and then we'll paste into and shrink. I don't want that menu screen on every shot. And now I need weapons. So I need to get a totally different level going on here. I'm going to use Donatello the whole fucking game. I think I did. I'm supposed to jump around. It was a long time ago. Oh, well. I want boxes. I'll do those on the little page. Come on. Good. Fight in the center of this motherfucker. With Photoshop. You should close your old screens. Otherwise, you start to build a long list of shit in here. So here, right click, intersect, edit, paste into. The same scale as the one on the left. Be a little smaller. What does that look like? Oh my god. Now I need to find a. If I can't find a shot of them eating pizza in my captures, then I will use that one Pizza Hut sign on the snow level. Should be a pizza box somewhere though. Come on, pizza box. Come on, pizza box. Pizza, 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 pizza. Shit. Mini boss fight, not the actual boss. Oh, it's a boss fight. The fucking pizza. Come on. I hate this when this takes forever. Give me the motherfucking pizza. Oh, I hope there's a pizza shot with him on the skateboard. That would be so awesome. Good shot. So I have it. Come on, where's the fucking pizza? Can't take forever, you know. Got shit to do. Let's go. Where's the Pizza Hut sign? Where comes the? Oh, here we go. I'll mock this up. So I'm gonna cut out that pizza, and then I'm gonna come back. Look at me, be sly. I'm gonna come back and get it. Pizza Hut shot. So let's see here. Copy, paste. Compress videos. Might be easier just to send Pizza Hut box. Who cares if it's real or not? Breaking the integrity of the game. It's for PR people. You can't change the screenshot. I need the magazine to not look stupid. Meanwhile, they doctor the shit out of their crap and get you to buy it. Like, change the whole look of the fucking game, right? Don't tell you they're fucking bullshots. Edit. That it worked. Give me the pizza. All right. This isn't gonna be bosses. This is gonna be like, who are you fighting for? It'll be April because I really like that shot where she's kissing him on the head. Over here, after the snow level. This one. I'm gonna close this shit. Nice. Cool beans. Okay. Save that. And the film strip. I'm gonna grab the opening scene and quickly drop that in there. So let's go back to here. And then we're going to want one. So I can just sort of look at this from an overview. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Open with, just click and drag into Photoshop. Hang on, April. So that's where you go to the film strip. Edit, paste into. Special, paste into. E, E, paste into. Into. Oh shit, wrong spot for that. Edit, special, paste into. And then I need 5 more random screens. So I'll just pick one there. Pick one there. Pick one there. 3. 4. Five. We'll omit the menu. That is shit just not something I want repeated over and over and over. So I want to make sure these lines sort of line up. At this point, the screens are being used as like a texture, you know, not really there is screen chat. Actually, I don't want that shot. I want one of the final shots in the game. With Photoshop. Let's take that and merge it. Go ahead and lock that. Turn it off. And just to be certain, I'll select it, fill it with black, and then merge that just so it's filled. And then tint. I have this tint bar I made just for film strips and shit. A nice vintage feel. Sweet. And we'll come back here and update. It's a good start. I remember why I don't run Planet Play. I got this from a long play. Sometimes I grab shit from people's videos. I give them credit. These doing game can write down this big. Just grab from this. So we'll see. It's been a while since I hit these people up. I wonder if they'll even remember. With VG maps. It's, this I want. Image size 300 hard edges, and then copy, paste. I'll draw over that too. And we need to put this all the way up here. Otherwise, I'll fucking lose track of it. Delete. Character boxes. Gameplay. Film. We can delete that tent screen. Ooh. Time is it? Oh, it's 2 a.m. So that's a good start. Tomorrow I'll get started probably around 4 p.m. my time. So had a lot of errands I had to catch up with. But then I'm going to go in there, block in the second pages 3 and 4, and then it should take an hour at the latest. Hopefully it doesn't. But yeah, because it's 2 pages, so it would take an hour to block and everything, and then usually an hour to render. Let's see if I can speed this up since the template's already made. So I'll do that, and then I'll block in all the art. Like I still have to make like this shit plus this background and stuff. Which I might just trace over the layout from the game box as a temp. To think about that. All right, well, thanks for hanging out. Part 1, I will get to part 2 tomorrow. Thanks, bye.